Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kim Barrett Show. I am your host, Kim Barrett, and today we are joined by Sean Castrina, who is going to be talking all things business. Probably one of the most interesting intros where I was asking Sean, what is it that you actually do? Probably one of the most interesting and funny answers I've gotten for a while. So I liked it. It was a very good, it was a very nice deep dive. So if you're someone who has business and you've been worrying about maybe the balance between your passion and for what you want to do and your passion for business, this is an episode that I think you will enjoy. And of course, if we can ever help you with your marketing, you can head over to our free Facebook community, www.joinmygroup.com.au. Our Facebook community has all the insights that you need to help you grow your business. We go live in there every week with insights, business, marketing, all that fun stuff. But until then, let's jump into the show. Sean, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you making the time.
No, I'm excited to be on the podcast.
It's great to have you. Now, I always like to kick off with the same question every time, which is if I met you at a party and you and I were chatting and I said to you, Sean, what is it that you actually do? What's your go-to answer?
I make a lot of money. I mean, seriously, I'd probably say something to the effect of I make a lot of money.
Awesome. And I'm sure that then the follow-up question has to be, how do you make all that money? Yeah.
And then I say I own companies.
I love that. And so how did you get into owning companies? Because obviously that's a pretty great statement to be able to make and to say and to be able to do. But how did you get started into that world?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of lost my dream job. I was in graduate school and there was a change in leadership. I was working for a company in DC and I figured I'd be there like forever, just make a lot of money as an employee, which you can do. I mean, Tim Cook and Steve Ballmer, they are billionaires and they're employees. So you can do it that way. And I thought I would. And I really didn't have a problem with that. But then when I was let go, it kind of changed my paradigm of security in that, you really don't have any security. You don't. As an employee, everybody thinks they do, they job security. No, I mean, there's a million things that can change the footing underneath you. So I at that point, I knew I wanted to have my own thing. I knew I could, I'd work a job temporarily while I got something off the ground. And I did. I started something, just a beta test, had something really small when I started selling life insurance, and I started an auto detailing company, which is funny because it's kind of the blueprint that I've used for the last 30 years. Number one is it was a business I had zero passion about, but I knew it would work. I absolutely knew there was a market for it. Number two is I knew it had great margins. Number three is I knew that all I had to do was just hire somebody to do the work. Like I would never have to physically clean a car if I could create the structure, attract the customer, set the appointments. And, we had like 4 different prices. It was either, like a full size vehicle, small vehicle, inside, outside, it was so simple. I made over $30,000. This was almost 30 years ago in my early 20s, made $30,000 just setting this up. And I knew then that I kind of had figured something out. Now, to what degree that would, build into, I wasn't sure at the time, but I've pretty much have used that formula for the last 30 years and finding needs in the marketplace, creating a company that requires physical labor, human beings. I'm not looking for anything that competes with Amazon, AI, or an app, basically. I mean, to me, that's shaky territory. So, there's nothing like a human being. I hate to say it, but it's the reality. Try to get somebody to change your oil that's not a human being. Try to get your gutters cleaned. Get a dent knocked out of your car fender. I mean, they can't do it. It has to be done by a human being. So those type of businesses have always interested me. And then when you get into like digital, I own a big digital marketing company as well. We're hands-on in that we meet with our business owners. We go over what we've done each month with them so that we let them understand it. We explain it to them. We pivot. It's not just kind of like some software where, at the end of the month, you don't know what you paid for. You don't know what happened. You can't argue with anybody, so that's kind of been my blueprint. So that was a long answer to what you asked.
No, I love it. And so obviously when you started with that business, then how do you feel about where there's all these people that are always harping on about, say, you've got to do what you love, what you're most passionate about? Then you said, like, I have no passion for this. I don't want to do it at all.
I have a
What's your
passion
view
for
on that?
I have a passion for making money. And let me be clear, because think about this for a second. I'll tell you why that argument that they're saying doesn't work. I'm going to crush that argument. I'm just going to absolutely destroy it. I am passionate about playing golf. It does not mean I buy a driving range or a golf course. Okay. I'm passionate about traveling. It doesn't mean I have a travel agency. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that that is a good business idea in the area you live. I mean, you could be passionate about surfing and live in Wisconsin. Not a great business idea. A great business where there's a need in the marketplace for what it is you're selling, that will pay for all your passions. Last I checked, now I could be wrong, but I'm not on this. Jeff Bezos was not a fanatic about books when he started Amazon, which was books. He knew it, it was a perfect niche in the marketplace. There's more books than any single SKU item. There's no product line larger than books. There you go. Let me put that in a way we can understand. So I've never seen an interview where he goes, I just love books. All I ever wanted to do was sell books. I've never heard him say that once. So yes. I think you got to be careful. I think, I think passion could be is an entrepreneur's mistress.
Nice. I like that. And so how did you go then from, obviously, like you mentioned, you kind of figured out the blueprint with the car detailing business. How did you go from that to now, obviously, multiple businesses? You got a marketing agency, all those things as well.
Just kept rinsing and repeating. I sold the detailing company. And it's funny because I sold it like 25 years ago, and they were actually at my house cleaning my cars the other day. Still a durable business model, still durable. I started a service company. It was a handyman company. I'd owned a direct mail magazine, actually, and it was in 22 cities, 21 cities, actually, and then one plus mine. So I guess that's 22, but I owned that. And I tried to convert my dining room into an office. We just had a child, and it's hard to have a mojo when you got a chandelier over your head. So I tried to get it converted into an office, couldn't get anybody to do it. Lived in a really nice housing development because had the magazine, I was doing really well. And I'm asking like, hey, do you know any handymen? And like, nobody could give me one. I remember I was playing tennis afternoon with my buddy sitting on a bench, and I did the business plan right there. Right there, I was like, okay, wait, when you call, you're going to actually speak to a human being. We're not going to do like an answering service or like the voicemail, the old answering machines. I'm going to send somebody to your house that has a minimum of 10 years experience. We'll give you a written estimate. And then when we start your job, we will not leave your job until it's finished. In other words, we won't jump around like construction people are known for. I started that handyman business. And to this day, I own a plastic toolbox. Okay. I know nothing about construction. When I tell you I know nothing, believe me, less than nothing when I started that. Within 6 weeks, we had 55 phone calls in 1 week. I knew I'd hit the holy grail of and I live in a very wealthy city. So I knew I hit something really good. And then I partnered, which I've always done. I partnered in my detailing business as well. I partnered with somebody who had a lot of experience with construction, brought him in as a 50-50 profit share partner. I own 51% of the company. Listen to that's very, very good advice I'm giving. I split it 50-50. That way you can't argue over money, but I maintain 51%. And in a small business, 51 wins all fights. And we grew it to over $1 million company within 3 years. And that business model, that simple business model of when you called, you speak with someone, and then we would stay there until we finished. I'd hire experienced guys. At the end, we mailed everybody a survey card, 4 questions, just to see if we did a good job, if they'd use us again, blah, blah, blah. It blew up. Within every year, they were asking us to start something else. Can you do kitchens? I did the same thing. I'd go find the best kitchen guy I can, bring him on as a partner, 50-50. And we'd start a kitchen division. Then I started a roofing division, then a siding division. And we're getting ready to go into solar now. We have a bathroom division, a masonry division, a kitchen division. I mean, we just one after another. It does millions and millions and millions of dollars now, but the same formula. I'm not passionate about any of these, but I'm passionate about making customers happy. I'm very passionate about solving a problem. I love what we do because when we finish it, it's very clear that we did something. Like, it's not one of those abstract, It's been done. You fix a toilet and you flush it and it works. You did it. You did it. If you painted their house, you did it. So to me, it was a very simple model to do well and to partner. That's probably my superpower, is partnering. In all these divisions, I have a partner. And I've always said I'd rather make 50% of a lot than 100% of a little.
And what do you think it was that helped you see that and have that clarity? Because obviously from the sounds of people listening, they might be like, sounds like he's just like hit the nail on the head. Obviously, like, you were working for a company before, and you exited from there. But like, what was it that you think that helped you see these opportunities, whether it be simply or more clearly than others?
I think we see them, we just don't notice them. The detailing was, my car was dirty. I was at a sales meeting on a Monday, and I was like, wow, it'd be great if somebody could come to this parking lot and clean my car, because I got a sales call after this and my car looks like crap. It literally, I'm sitting there thinking that, and I'm like, well, what if somebody could come to this parking lot and they had water, and they could actually clean it right in the parking lot, have like a water tank and do it. To me, I'm like, what would it take? It would take a pickup truck. I mean, it would take a van, and you put the water tank in it. And so I started looking at how big of a water tank you can fit in a 200, a Ford F-250. I started figuring all that out. But it started because I was sitting in this meeting looking through this window, and my car looked like crap compared to everybody else's. And then the detailing, then the handyman business, because I couldn't get anybody to help me convert my dining room into an office. And then the digital marketing company, a very similar story. 3 years ago, I buy Super Bowl ads. I buy, all the golf majors, the tennis majors. I spent a lot of money on advertising for my company. And digital marketing obviously got huge. And I started seeing my competitors really dominating the internet side of the marketing, where I was on radio, TV, and print ads and postcards, and that still works, but I knew I was missing a gap. And so I reached out to all my providers that were providing like TV and radio, because they all had started digital marketing at the time, and they all came to my conference room and they would all pitch me. And one radio station came in and they brought like 4 people and they pitched me. And one person in that meeting was the smartest of the 4, talked the least, but had worked for Fortune 100 companies. And I remember at the end of it, they all gave me their business cards. I threw all of them away, kept his. And then I called him the next day, James, and I said to him, James, I will spend my advertising dollar with you. I'll do a digital marketing program if once a month you come to my office and for 15 minutes explain to me what you did. What we spent our money on, what worked, what didn't work, if it's not working, how we're going to pivot. I just don't want to like a printout sheet. I did that once with some online one and, out of India, and I had no idea what I did. You know what I mean? They're like, well, you had this many views or this, it meant nothing to me. I didn't get any sales. I didn't know who they were. And so he said, okay, I can do that. And I said to him, I never forget that conversation. And this goes back to my partnering philosophy. I said to him, James, you're either going to come work for me or you and I are going to start a company. You got to remember, this guy was the top guy at their radio station running their digital marketing company. He thought I was nuts. He told me that afterwards, but he said, you know what? You're cocky enough to where I thought I started to believe it. He said, like, you said it kind of, but then I kind of looked around and you owned this big building and all that, and you drove a nice car. So like, he might be serious. And so that was in like November. And he took it over. He did an incredible job with our digital marketing. I saw the numbers rise. And so that May, I'd said to him, I said, James, have you and your family, because he had little kids, have you guys ever been to Disney World? And he said, no, but we're going to do that at some point, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, great. I want to pay for you and your family to go to Disney World. He said, well, why would you do that? I said, remember what I told you when we first started talking? You're either going to come work for me or we're going to be partners in business. And I just want to do my down payment. Thought I was nuts again. So about a year later, after doing all this and me just paying for a Disney trip that was in the thousands, it was about November, about a year and a half in, and then a year in. And I said to him, I said, you need to leverage yourself for a raise. His wife didn't work and it's smaller kids. And I said, you are their digital marketing department. Like, they don't have one without you. And then I found out that he didn't have a no compete. I'm like, oh my gracious. I'm like, okay, wait, this is what you're worth. Ask them for this amount of money. I said, I really thought they'd give it to him. And I go, if for some reason they don't, we'll start a company. But I kind of figured they would give it to him. I did not plan on starting a business. I'm like, I wanted to help him out. If he could get a raise, he was handling my business anyway. So I needed another company. Like I needed a hole in the head at the time. And they passed on it. His boss said to him, we're not going to do that. And then James said, well, I might go start my own. And he's like, well, it's a lot harder than you think. He didn't know he was going to start it with me. And, and so literally he told me they're not going to do it. We started a company within like 7 days. I remember it was like Christmas and we started it like the first day in January that you could start it. And I said to him, I said, I'll guarantee your paycheck, whatever you made at the radio station, I'll guarantee it for a year. So that you're not taking any risk. And that's what you have to do sometimes. You have to come up with a creative deal. And we did it. I only had to match his very first month was the only time I ever had to pay him out of my money. Wow. And we'll do, $1 million, we do over $1 million. And you can look the company up. It's Real Gig Strategic, GIG Strategic. You'll see James come up on it, follows the story. And we just blew it up because I knew the model he used when he said to me, presenting it to me in 15 minutes every month. I'm like, if you do this with local business owners, you're going to get everybody. Like nobody wants to do online advertising if they can have somebody like you sit in front of them, James. I mean, he's likable. He explains things really clear and it works. I mean, it works. And you can see that, he gives you the numbers and you know how many calls you got. And, he could back it up with really data that, a typical business owner can understand. So I knew it would work and it did. And it's going to end up being a massive 8-figure company, at least. But that's kind of what I do.
And so what sort of hurt, like, because obviously when people, again, hearing this, they're like, sounds like it's like smooth sailing, but I'm sure there's been some hurdles along the way that you've had to face and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I had one partner who was a thief and a liar and had to get rid of him and he cost me money. I had one partner who never saved any money. So at the 2008, when the market collapsed and I told him we weren't taking paychecks for 6 months, he quit in a day. This is a guy I literally thought we would be buried next to each other. Great friend, had worked together for 8 years, and, boom, gone, literally. Like couldn't afford to go whatever. Couldn't afford to go a week without a paycheck. So yeah, you go through those disappointments, but all in all, the partnerships have been extraordinarily well. And again, I say, if you look at your most successful companies, Microsoft, Apple, PayPal, Twitter, Tesla, I mean, I can go one after another, Chick-fil-A, you can go McDonald's, they were all partnerships. So, it has been a proven formula. I mean, Warren Buffett has a partner. I mean, the smartest people, Elon Musk had a partnership with Tesla and PayPal. So why are the smartest people in the world partnering? There must be something to it.
What was it that interested you the most about partnerships? Like, obviously I understand that you've got the perspective of like, you've got the skill set that for you were like, well, I can solve the problem, but I need the skill set. Was it just that, or was there anything else that really kind of tickled your fancy as you were going through that?
Yeah. And I'm actually working on a book called 1 + 1 = done, the power of partnering in business. My feeling is that typically you're always missing something. There's always a gap, whether it's time, money, or knowledge. There's typically a gap in one of those three things. You either don't have the time to put into it. And obviously there got to a point where I couldn't keep scaling companies. I didn't have the time. In the beginning, I had no expertise. Okay. So I didn't have that. I didn't have any money. So you typically will partner for one of those three things. And to me, you just speed up the process. You hyper speed it up by, getting somebody who understands the industry more than you. I mean, that obviously would be a smart partnership. If you don't have any capital, it's hard to get a business off the ground without capital, so there's a variety of reasons why you do it. So to me, it just made perfect sense that I would always look for somebody who was an expert in the industry. Because again, I don't start businesses that I'm passionate about. So by nature, I wouldn't know that much about them. I would see a need like the digital marketing. Okay. I don't know anything about it, but James did. James is really passionate about it. He's an addict about digital marketing. I mean, somebody in the building's got to understand it and be pretty excited about it. Just in my case, I love business. I love the process of business. I love attracting customers, selling customers, and fulfillment. I love creating systems. I love creating brands. I love marketing. I love business. I'm an entrepreneur addict. But the actual specific industries that we're in and what we do, I don't care. I just want there to be a market for it. And I want to be able to perform it at an exceptional level.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. And now, Sean, as we get towards the end of our time here together, I always like to ask, is there a question which I haven't asked you that I should have?
No, I like the fact that every question you've asked me, I could answer. So, no. You just stay right where you're at. You can't mess this one up.
I love it. Love it.
No, I mean, you've asked great questions. I think hopefully the audience has gotten a little bit of some value there.
No, definitely. And now for anyone that has been listening to this and they like, all right, great, I want to find out more about what Sean's up to. Where's the best place for them to connect with you online?
Yeah, I mean, I would get one of my free books. So I'd go to SeanCastrina.com, which is my name, SEAN, Castrina, CASTRINA. There, you'll get a newsletter like twice a month where I actually teach a lesson that's really good. It's very well done. I don't do it. That's why I got a partner who handles that. And you'll get one of my books for free. And it was one that got a ton of New York Times bestselling reviews. So you can get that for free. And I think that's just a kind of a great first step. On Instagram, I mean, I post something every day that's designed to help business owners, and I'm verified on there, so I'm legit. And so you can find me on Instagram as well. I think those two will probably give you the most value. And I'm the host of the 10-Minute Entrepreneur Podcast, and it's a top 20 marketing and entrepreneurship podcast in the world. So, you can always go to the 10-Minute Entrepreneur Podcast. If you like something really fast and quick to the point, you might like that.
Beautiful. So guys, wherever you're watching or listening to this, check the show notes. We'll have links to all of those resources and more for you guys to go and check out what Sean's up to. And if you know someone who maybe is in business, maybe they've been struggling a little bit trying to find out the balance between their, their passion, their business, and entrepreneurship, maybe you should share this episode with them so they can find out a little bit more about what Sean's up to and get some of his wisdom into their ears as well. Sean, again, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you making the time.
Oh, thank you. It's the first time I've ever done a podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I had like 3 reminders. I had them all over my house. I literally had to leave the studio light on. My wife's like, why is the light on there? I go, it's to remind me I got a podcast tonight at 9:00 at night.
You did a great job for 9 p.m. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.